those who are interested in writing question on the slips, you may kindly raise your hands so that we have assistants standing around. They could come and help you out with the slip of paper or a pen or whatever is required, so that and it can be passed on down the sides of the stage to me, so we can carry on as a secondary preference later on. May we have the next question from the sister on the top, please?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shehla. I would like to ask, why is polygamy permitted in Islam, and that is, why is a man allowed to marry more than one wife?
Sister asked the question that why is polygamy permitted in Islam, that is, why is a man allowed to marry more than one wife in Islam? The polygamy actually means that a person who has more than one spouse is divided into two categories: polygyny, in which a man has more than one wife, and polyandry, in which a woman has got more than one husband. People normally think polygamy means a man can marry more than one wife. Polygamy means both. A person having more than one spouse. If a man has more than one wife, it's called polygyny. And if a woman has more than one husband, it's called polyandry. But since the sisters mainly asked the question, why is a man allowed to marry more than one wife, I will answer, why is polygyny allowed in Islam? Quran happens to be the only religious book on the face of the earth which says marry only one. There is no religious book on the face of the earth which says marry only one. You read the Gita, you read the Veda, you read the Ramayana, you read the Mahabharata, you read the Bible, nowhere is it mentioned marry only one. It's only mentioned in the Quran. In fact, if you read the Hindu scriptures, most of the kings had several wives. King Dashrath had more than one wife. Lord Krishna had several wives. If you read the Jewish scriptures, the Jewish law allowed polygyny. It was only in the 11th century when Rabbi Gershom ben Yehuda, he passed a synod and said polygyny should not be allowed. Still it was practiced by the Sephardic Jewish community in the Muslim countries, until in 1950 the chief rabbinate of Israel put a ban on it. The Christian Bible allows polygyny. Only a couple of centuries ago the church put a ban on it. Even if you analyze the legal aspect of India, the Indian law allowed a Hindu man to have more than one wife. It was only in 1954 when the Hindu Marriage Act was passed, and if I'm wrong, Justice Qazi can correct me, when the Hindu Marriage Act was passed in 1954, which put a ban and prohibited the Hindu man to marry more than one wife. If you see the statistics, according to a committee report on the status of women in Islam, which was published in 1975 on page number 66 and 67, it states the percentage of polygamous marriages. And it said that the percentage in which the Hindu did polygynous marriages, it was 5.06. And the percentage of Muslim polygynous marriages was only 4.31. Let's leave the statistic aside. Let's come to the main point. Why does Islam allow polygyny? As I mentioned earlier, Quran is the only religious book on the face of the earth which says marry only one. It's mentioned in Surah Nisa, chapter number 4, verse number 3, that you can marry women of your choice in twos, threes or fours, but if you can't do justice, marry only one. The statement marry only one is only given in the Quran. It's not there in any other religious books. In pre-Islamic Arabia, men had several wives. Some people had hundreds of wives. Islam put an upper limit to polygamy, maximum 4. and you can have more than one wife only on the condition that you can do equal justice between the two, or between the three or four. Otherwise, only one. And the same surah, Surah Nisa, chapter number 4, verse number 129 says that it is very difficult for a man to be just between his wives. So polygamy is an exception, it is not the rule. Many people think that Islam says you should compulsory marry more than one wife. There are 5 categories of do's and don'ts in Islam. First category is compulsory, which is fard. The second category is recommended or encouraged. The third category is the permissible category. The fourth category is the discouraged category. And the last is prohibited or forbidden. Polygyny falls in the middle category of permissible. There is no statement in any hadith on the Quran which says that if a man marries more than one wife, he is a better Muslim than a person who marries only one wife. Let's analyze logically. Why does Islam allow a man to marry more than one wife? By nature, men and women are born, male and female are born in equal proportion. But medical science tells us that the fetus, if it's a female, is more stronger than the male fetus. Pediatric knowledge tells us that a female child has got more resistance than the male child. A female child can fight germs and disease much more stronger and a better way than the male child. Medical science tells us that the female is health-wise a stronger sex than the male. So, in the pediatric age itself, the female ratio is higher than the male ratio. Wars take place in the world, and during wars, more male are killed than the female. Even in the recent war which took place in Afghanistan, approximately more than 1.5 million people were martyred, out of which most of them were men. Statistics tells us that accidents take place. More of the men die in accidents than the females. More male death takes place due to cigarette smoking than female death. Therefore, you have more female in the world as compared to the male. India is one of the countries, besides a few of the Asian countries and Africa, in which the female population is more than the male population. And the reason I've given you, because more than 1 million fetuses are, female fetuses are being aborted every year. And because of the high rate of infanticide, female infanticide, that's the reason that female are less than the male. Otherwise, you stop this evil practice and within a few decades you'll have that the male population will become much less than the female population. In New York alone, there are 1 million females more than male. In USA alone, there are 7.8 million females more than male. And out of the male population of New York, 1/3 are gay. They are sodomized. That means they can't find female partners. And there are more than 25 million gays in America. In Britain alone, there are more than 4 million females more than male. In Germany alone, there are 5 million females more than male. In Russia alone, there are 7 million females more than male. And God knows how many million females are there more than the male in this whole world. If suppose my sister happens to live in America, and suppose the market is saturated, every man has found a female partner for himself. Still, there will be more than 30 million female in USA alone who will not be able to find husbands. And suppose my sister who's living in America happens to be amongst the unfortunate ladies who has not found a partner yet. The only option remaining for her is that she either marries the husband, she marries a man who already has a wife, or she becomes public property. There is no third option. And believe me, I've posed this question to hundreds of non-Muslims, and everyone opted for the first. No one so far has opted for the second. But there are some people who are smart and he said that I would prefer my sister remaining a virgin. Believe me, medical science tells us that a man or a woman cannot remain a virgin throughout her life. She cannot remain a virgin throughout her life without indulging in illicit sex or sexual perversions, because daily sex hormones are being liberated in the body. And those great men who claim to have renounced the world, for example, the sages and the sons who go to mountains and Himalayas, behind them you find the Devdas is going. For what? According to a report out of the priests and the nuns of the Church of England, the majority indulge in fornication and homosexuality. There is no option, there is no third option. The only option is that you marry a husband who already has a wife, or you become public property.